Hello and welcome along to the Rangers Rabo Old Firm Scottish Cup semi-final preview. No, I didn't practice that 6 times before I started. Yes, hello and welcome along, everybody. I'm Martin and I'm joined by Graham, Lee, and from his car at Hampden, Scott Kerr. Scott, how are you?
I'm alright, man.
You alright?
Excited but nervous at the same time.
Can you hear me alright?
Excited and nervous. I can hear you fine, Martin.
You can hear me fine.
Can you hear me?
Aye, we got a close-up of that beautiful face as well, so there you go. Look, there's quite a lot to discuss, right? But we're going to jump into, obviously, the major talking point first, Lee, and that is that John McLaughlin has been putting goals over Alan McGregor. Now, is that a case of doing a pep and giving your second-choice goalkeeper the cup games, or is he thinking to himself, McGregor doesn't come for cross balls? What's he thinking?
I'd like to think it's more of the second one, mate. I wouldn't like to think he's doing a pep, considering what that Stefan boy got up to last night with the game. He was an absolute shocker. No, I think it's good to see Gio's actually done it. The last Old Firm, you could argue that McGregor was somewhat at fault for not coming to collect the balls. So I'd like to think he's addressing that by bringing in McLaughlin, who will obviously come and collect crosses and stuff. Any
extra pressure, Graham, on McLaughlin for the day, or is it just a case of, look, he's a professional, he'll come in and do his job?
Also, well, it's a big game, so there will be a wee bit of pressure, but as you say, he's a professional and he's trained for this, so I do trust him, especially when he's got the ball at his feet. It gives us an option to pass back when we're under pressure as well and get out through the press, which we don't usually have with McGregor, and like Lee said there, hopefully at crosses and stuff he'll come and collect, so I think he'll have a good game, obviously, but we'll get behind him.
Now, there was one man who did call this, and I always like to give credit where it's due, and that was me. No, actually. No, Kev, you did call it, didn't you?
I said on Friday night, McLaughlin and goals should be the only change for Thursday. I think Gio was listening to the pod, Martin, but no, I think he has to make a change because Celtic are quite a threat for crosses. They've got a few big boys at the back with Carter Vickers and Starfelt. And we've seen it in the last Old Firm game. McGregor does he come out, he roots himself to the goal line, and when that happens, Golson under pressure, and cause Ballard, he's not playing. You've got Bassey, who's one of the greatest in there. So we need other presence there. And obviously you get Morelos, who helps out, but he's not there either. So he's thought, I'm going with a goalie who'll come out and collect, take the pressure off the defence, and I think that's why he's done it, to be fair.
Right, before I carry on, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you to the comments, as ever. The last time I checked, and I know I say this every podcast, right? But the last time I checked, we were 36 away from 5k subscribers on YouTube. So if you haven't already, please do subscribe. Go and tell your mates to subscribe. Do all that. Carry on. Facebook's a share and a like, and share and like on Facebook, Graham, isn't it?
I think so.
None of us are good with Facebook.
Share and like. It's retweet on Twitter.
Retweet, like, and comment on Twitter. Right, now, the importance of today's game, Lee, I don't think can be understated. Look, League Cup, they won that. The league is, 90% are going to win that. For all the good stuff we've done in Europe, for how well that's going, to lose a day would be devastating.
Oh, mate, it would just be a killer blow. I was saying to somebody on Thursday that I felt Thursday and the day, if we'd lost both games, that was our season more or less over. You don't really want to, submit the league at this point, but I mean, the last Old Firm result has kind of put massive importance on this, not just for kind of getting back to winning ways against them, but it's a trophy, and it's a trophy that we've not done well in about a decade. So it's important, mate. It's massively important.
Aye, massively important.
As Martin, it's massively important for the club, but we can't have them get another treble. How many trebles have we won in the last 9 years? And we can't have another one, especially we were all laughing at our turmoil last season, and then they come back with a treble. It shouldn't happen for me, so we have to win the day. Because we need the cup as well, but we need to win the day to keep the season going. Europe's been great, but in the day, the league and the Scottish Cup and the League Cup's our bread and butter, and we need to do better in these competitions, and winning the day could kickstart the rest of this campaign, but as in the European semi-final and the league. But if we lose the day, it could be detrimental to the rest of season because we can't afford to get beat with him 4 times. That doesn't work for me. It doesn't matter. European semi-final in our head. You can't get beat 4 times with him. You just can't.
I know. Let's try and be positive, Graham. I know like the last 2 Old Firm games haven't been great, but are you positive for this one, especially after Thursday?
I'm a wee bit nervous, but usually always in the morning of the game I do start to get a wee bit more positive, and so I'm hopeful more than positive. But once that kick-off goes, it's full pelt. Let's go get the win.
Oh, that really wasn't the answer I was looking
No,
for,
no,
Lee.
that's what you're looking for.
Lee, are you positive?
I don't see no
confident?
reason. After Thursday, I'm a lot more confident. I think just the performance itself, mate, not even the result. Like that was the best I've seen us play this season on Thursday. So if we can replicate that, then I think we'll get every chance of winning this. I think we will win if we replicate that on Thursday. So I'm quietly optimistic about this one.
Still no really the answer that I'm looking for, Kerr. I'm looking for, we're going to do them, we're going to beat them, it's going to be comfortable, it's going to be easy. Kerr, come on.
Am I positive, Martin? No. Not at all.
Close the pod down.
Oh, I'm sorry, everybody watching. I apologise.
I think if it's a European game, I would be confident, but I don't know, just the mentality. Sometimes the players are different in the league and cups. And I said that night to go extra time, so I still think it will go extra time today. So the reaction show might be later than you think, but I'm confident we'll get a result in extra time, but I'm not confident we'll win in 90 minutes, put that way.
One of the things that gives me confidence is the big pitch. So it gives, hopefully, Kent and that will be able to play their game a wee bit better than what it is. I think that could help us with Kent and like that up front, balls in behind for us and counter-attack and stuff. So that gives me a wee bit of positivity.
I completely agree with that, mate.
Well, let's have a quick look at the team, right? So it's McLaughlin in goals. Back four, Tav, Goldson, Bassey, Barisic. Midfield, Lundstrom, Jack, Aribo. And a front three, Ramsey, Kent and Roof. Now, Graham, that's quite obviously similar. I think it's the same team apart from McGregor that played on Thursday. That have any bearing on the game? Extra time, tough game?
It possibly could, but then again, it could help their fitness sometimes. I don't know the actual science of how it works, but it could give them that wee bit to keep going and a wee bit of form and stuff like that. But let's just hope it's that way anyway. But I think it's going to be a big pitch, so I think it will be like kind of end to end a wee bit more than what it is like in a league game at Parkhead or at Ibrox. So it will be on both players tiring. So let's just have to go and see what happens.
No, see, the reason I ask that, Lee, is I think the way that's been shown to get at Celtic, to beat Celtic, is you have to press them. You have to go for them. You have to stop their ability to get out and pass the ball. And I just think Thursday, it's the same team. You know, Braga, very good, very technical team, and we had to work very, very hard. If these players got it in them for 90 minutes, 120 minutes to be able to do that?
I think we're only going to find out, mate, when the game starts. Like, you could look at it both ways. You come at it as, I would have played 120 minutes, and you did see that it was affecting some of the players at the end of that. But these are the kind of games that you get through on adrenaline as well. So you're taking it with the fitness side, like, will they struggle? But then they've just came off a massive result. It's practically the same team. It could literally go either way with that.
Yeah, and you know me, Kerr, I like to keep things positive. I always like to be very, very positive. Our record at Hampden has been quite atrocious. It's about time we solved that.
It is. I mean, last time we were there, I think majorities were wanting to leave at half time, but hopefully come half time today, it's going to be a different story. But we just have to get the players have to buck for this match. You don't need a team talk, don't need anything else. They know what's at stake. They know they've got the Rangers fans behind them, but they have to show us that they're behind us as well, because too many times this season they've let us down at times. So they need to come out today and start like it was a European game. Sod this at Celtic and give them respect, because I think that's what we do too much. We just have to go out and play our own game, and if we do that, then they've got a chance. But if we go out and give them too much respect or sit, they'll damage us. So we'll have to just go out and be proud of themselves and show everybody that they're good footballers, because they know deep down they are, but they have to start showing it consistently.
Aye, I know. By the way, for everybody watching, there's a few people that are disagreeing with what these three are saying, because you know how I don't have any opinions on it, and so therefore you can't disagree with me. I just ask questions and play devil's advocate. But look, get your points in. I'll put it to the guys. I'll tell them how wrong they are. I'm looking for look, Ricky Forbes. Look, the Celtic pod more positive than they three. What are you doing watching the Celtic pod, Ricky? Come on, you should know better than that. But Graham, if he's got a reason to not be 100% positive going into this game simply because of the last two Old Firm games,
I think in parts of the last two Old Firm,
it's a totally different game because it's at Hampden and it's a semi-final.
It's a totally different game, obviously bigger pitch, Hampden, it's in the cup as well. But I think in the last two Old Firms, there has been large parts of the game where we've had control and stuff, but obviously we've had a few reasons, like Morelos has not been there, so we've lacked up that strength up front. So there's been reasons for it. I just hope that today we see early on that Tav and Borna are going to be allowed to go forward. I think that's one of the key signs early on. If we can see them getting forward, I think then Roof's going to get a wee bit more service, and then he'll look a wee bit better. So I think we've got to see stuff like that early on. And then I think if that happens, then that's kind of our European style. So then that gives me more confidence. And then I think if we play our game, then I do believe we are better than them, and then we should get the win and through into the cup final.
Well, that is the hope. Nicholas Moore, what is the beer of choice today? The beer of choice today is Cobra. Cobra sponsors the Rangers Rabble. For all your refreshment needs, go and grab yourself a World Beer Cobra. Very refreshing. See, I could do that advertising stuff, couldn't I? I could definitely do it.
You're quite good at it, mate. Got the plug in.
I got the plug in, even though they don't sponsor the podcast. But if Cobra want to sponsor the podcast, please do fire away. Looking at the team, Lee, right? Looking at the back four. Now, I was asked before the Braga game, does Barisic deserve to come in and take a spot and move Bassi into the centre backs and leave out Balogun? And I said no. Just one good performance doesn't validate you to start. However, he was phenomenal against Braga. Bassi done well at centre back, even though that does worry me slightly, Bassi at centre back. But that back four, how are you feeling?
I'm happy with it. Like, obviously, with Barisic, the performance against St Mirren, I think, again, that was one of his best performances we've had this season from him. So, going into the Braga game, I feel it was the right decision. You can only play them on the last performance, and Barisic was incredible. So, I think I'm happy with the team. I agree with you in the sense of Bassi can be a wee bit iffy, especially like you've seen some games in Europe, like the Sparta Prague game, away game, like springs to mind the most, where he was a wee bit, I'm not too sure at centre back, but overall I think I'm happy with the back four. I like the fact that we can get Tav and Bonner forward, because the last Old Firm game, all these crosses were going into the box, but it wasn't to the quality that Barisic can put in. Yeah. And like you've seen in the first 5 minutes of the Braga game, that cross that he put in for Roof's header was outstanding. So if we get more of the same today, I think Roof will be more beneficial. And I think Roof will score today. With Barisic playing, I think Roof will score today. That's
a brilliant point, Keir. Me and you have had discussions about Bassi in the past. He's a young boy, he's still learning his trade, but I think he's done excellent since he came in at left back, especially when Barisic was going through his dodgy spell. Never really put a foot wrong. He makes the odd mistake that, a youngster will, but he's never really put a foot wrong. But he's got nowhere near the same level of creativity as Barisic. And Barisic to Roof, Barisic to Tav, Tav to Barisic, that's probably where we can win the game today, is it not? Oh, I asked that question and Keir just froze out. He shat himself for the question. So, Graham, I'll take that same question to you.
I do believe when Barisic comes in and Bassi goes in, especially for today against their lineup, there's the top boys not playing. So we need pace to go up against their three. So Bassi, I think, in centre half today will be good, and it will be an advantage for us, and we can push higher up.
Advantage, Graham, in terms of defending set pieces.
But they've not got their big boy up front, so they're not up against a striker as such. It's a kind of fast forward like that. So it gives Bassi, I prefer Bassi in that situation. Obviously, when it comes to set pieces, when he's at centre half and we're losing Balogun, that is going to be a weakness. But we've got McLaughlin, like Kerr says, he comes out for crosses, so that kind of makes up for that a wee bit. So I'm happy with that back four, mate. And Bassey's, like you said, when he's come in, he's put no foot wrong. A left back, and I think he's had some great performances at centre back. Obviously, he's had a few moments that you think what is his best position, but I think he'll do a job today.
What does it say about Balogun, though, Lee? Because, Balogun was, for all intents and purposes, Connor Goldson's left-hand man. He plays on the left-hand side. We obviously Hollander out. I don't want to say this because I don't think it's fair on Bassey. But would you feel a bit more confident just with that bit of experience in there at centre-back and leave Bassey out?
Still, I'm not too sure, mate, because obviously the first game of the season against him, he was at right back, and you were more I feel like you were more confident in that sense with Braga in the team. But I think for the kind of game it is, I'm happy with Bassey in the sense of I think he's better at bringing the ball out of defence, and I think that will work well, especially with the bigger pitch. We're wanting players to kind of or wider players to put in a performance, and I think if Bassey's there, bringing it out of the defence and be able to distribute the ball more quickly into the midfield, I think would be a massive benefit to us. So I can understand both sides of it. I do think Balogun will probably bring a more sound defensive, but it's not to say that Bassey won't either. So,
well, let's kind of move on to the midfield. Lee, I'll go back to you. Lundstrom, Jack, and Aribo. Do you see Aribo playing in the midfield and Ramsey playing ahead, or do you think Ramsey will play in the midfield, Aribo play ahead? Just quickly.
I think it will be Ramsey playing ahead. I think it will just be Ramsey. And Thursday, obviously, I think he went 4-2-3-1, didn't he? And it was Ramsey coming in from the right. There's a lot of opportunities there, mate, for the interchanging, and I think that's what we're going to need. We're going to need players popping up in places where making late runs into the box, and I think Aribo and Ramsey will give you that. So I think they'll be interchanging in that sense.
Right, and we'll come to Lundstrom in a minute, Graham. But firstly, we need to go to Ryan Jack. A fit, fully functioning Ryan Jack is integral to this Rangers team. But the one thing I did notice, I listened to other people who know what they're talking about, and I heard them talking about it. Ryan Jack just slotting into that right back position to cover Tav when he goes forward, that seemed to make a huge difference. And I've got no doubts, obviously, that's probably the same way Gio's going to set up today.
If you look back at some of the games last year, that's how Tavernier was getting all the goals and allowed to go forward, because Jack always slotting at the right hand side and Kamara was at the left hand side. So that was what our central pairing did in the midfield. They kind of looked after the fullbacks, and you saw in midweek Jack was absolutely outstanding in possession and out of possession. He has the glue of our team. When he plays well, everybody around him plays well. And like you say, when he came off, you notice the difference straight away. We started to lose kind of the calmness of the midfield and stuff like that kind of went, and we were losing second balls where he seemed to pick up every single one. So he's integral, just like you said, mate.
He is, Lee. Jack is so important, and I think the good. Well, there was many good things about Thursday, right? But one of the biggest positives I took was Jack's performance, because in a couple of games before that, I don't think he was at his best, and the worry for me was, oh no, he's picked up another niggling injury. But we need him in that Rangers team, don't we?
Oh, mate, yeah, like you're saying, he's an integral part to it. I thought himself when he came off, was it Braga away last time he came off and he kicked, obviously before we kicked the ball, I thought myself that he'd picked up another injury, and that was him just frustrated with it. But so it was good to see that he was just annoyed with his own performance. He and Lundstrom, I think, are going to be the key players today, because we all know in the old firms it's the midfield battle. You need to win the midfield battle if you're going to win the game. So I think Lundstrom and Jack are going to be two integral players for us.
Well, where's the comment? I've lost it now. Oh, because it just made that exact point. Basically, along the lines of Graham, John Lundstrom. I mean, the turnaround in that guy has been nothing short of phenomenal. Walking about, singing the Rangers songs where the fans are singing it in the stadium. He gets it. He's been absolutely phenomenal. And the one person that we spoke about before we came on for that Celtic team was Callum McGregor. And John Lammy's put here, Lundstrom to mark Callum McGregor. Will that be part of his job, or do you think his job will just be sit in front of that back four, collect the ball, recycle it?
I think that's a great point for John there, because I don't think he should man mark him all over the pitch, but see once they've got kind of steady possession in their half, I think he should be close to him so they can't constantly pass back to him so he can dictate the play. Because I feel that's what they did for, especially the last 10-15 minutes of the first half at Ibrox. He kind of controlled the game. So I quite agree with that point, that once he comes into certain positions, that Lundstrom or Jack, whoever's nearest, has to go close to him to stop that. And I think that could help our game today. But John Lundstrom, I must admit, and I admit I'm wrong. I was one of the ones that wanted him out. I would take him, sell him in January if we could get a price for him. But what a turnaround! And like you say, singing the songs, scarf on his head. It's probably nothing, but fans have to see it, and it does help. And his performances and his leadership, you can see he's leading teams, he's getting the fans going and stuff like that. So he's been what a turnaround, and it's good to see, and hopefully another performance today.
I think with all, sorry,
on you, goalie.
I was going to say, I think Lundstrom, like all of us, could probably admit that Lundstrom's proved us wrong. Like, I think as early back as when we get beat off at Dundee United at Tannadice, I was coming out the pub calling for him to like just never play him again. I thought it was shocking. Obviously, you're just kind of emotional at the time, but ever since he came into the team in like early February, he's probably been our best player since he came into the team in early February. He's been unreal. Him and Jack have got that partnership, like I'm saying, which I think will be massive for today. So,
aye, listen, it will be. And just a quick comment for channel member Michael Charon, and I think he hits the nail on the head here, Lee. Just basically, after the knock, do it, Rangers, we need this. And I think that hits the nail on the head.
I agree with that. We've alluded to it in the sense of, well, I've said earlier that I think between Thursday and now, these were two games that if we'd lost, our season was near enough over. So, and it goes far beyond just like the trophy. The trophy is obviously the biggest point, but we've lost the last two games to them when all last season we dominated. And it's still a nice feeling. It's to get that pride back is, I think, one of the biggest points to hang it, because we know that if we play our game, we are probably the best team in Scotland, even if it's not shown on the table. But we know that when we play the way that we want to play, that we can beat anybody. I mean, we beat Borussia Dortmund in the Europa League. So, I mean, says it all.
We beat Borussia Dortmund, we beat Red Star, and we beat Braga. All three teams, which if they had played them in Europe, they would have been scudded. It's just a shame, Graham. And I don't want to stay on the negatives for too long. I want to get back to the positives in a minute. But it's just a shame that this Rangers team this season have kept their best performances and their best form for Europe. And when it's came back to the domestic side of the game, we just haven't really performed.
I've said it a few times on the pods, like the reason why I think that is. I think it's like in Europe, teams come out a wee bit and then we can get space in behind them. And I've said it a few times as well, that when you look at our team and our setup, we're a counter-attacking team and a transition team instead of like a possession-based, especially when we've not got Stephen Davis on the starting 11. So I think that's why, because when we come back to Scotland, it's us, it's like a training match, us versus 10 plus a goalkeeper. And some of our players, when you look at the midfield, we've not got that kind of, when it's Lundstrom and Jack, as much as we love them, they've not got that kind of through pass constantly.
The defence splitting pass. The Scott Allen pass.
Scott Allen pass. Who's his career now? But I think that's the reasons for it. And also today, when we look at today's, it's a big pitch, so hopefully we will see that European style, and that's what gives me confidence.
Is this a fair point, Lee, for Gallant Pioneer? Rangers are better than Celtic. Ability-wise, we haven't matched them, though, for desire and hunger, unfortunately. Is that fair?
Aye, I'd say that's completely fair. Like, do you even just analyse, there was like a video going about after Carter Vickers' goal at Ibrox where it's Aribo just kind of like walking back to the box and then turning away. I think that's just like perfect embodiment of quite a lot of the season in the Premier League. It's just, are some players fed up with playing in Scotland, and that's why they do hold like their best performance to Europe? But there's no doubt that the hunger and desire for some players for a good part of the season hasn't been what we need it to be. And you don't want to give them too much credit. They've got that Postecoglou who's got them playing for him proper, like he's got them running through walls. So, I do agree that we are, ability-wise, the best team in Scotland. but it's just no showing on a consistent basis.
It's all great having the ability, but if you don't have the application, then it's not going to work for you. Is it back to the lineups, Lee? Is it? I don't know if this is fair. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Is it going to be a case of Lundstrom, Jack versus Rogic, McGregor, and whoever wins that battle probably wins the game? Because and the reason I asked that, Lee, is I think Rogic in the past, and it was always hard to judge because we were so poor when we first came back up, right? But Rogic was always excellent against us, and taking my blue tinted specs off, I think I do think on his day, Rogic is an absolutely unbelievable player. I think he's a brilliant player. So is it going to be a case of if Lundstrom and Jack and Aribo, and Aribo in that midfield three get the better of Rogic and McGregor, we win the game?
I'd say for a large part of it, yeah, if we do win that battle. And it's a weird one as well, though, because you wouldn't exactly classify Rogic's place in that Celtic team as like he's the battler. Mm-hmm. He's just a good player that can get forward. So it's like you would clearly like say that Lundstrom and Jack were more industrious players who were up for a battle in the midfield. So it obviously is more than just a battle in the midfield, because if you're talking about it in that sense, they let Rogic go free, like wander up the pitch. So it will be a big part of it. We need to like stamp our authority in the middle of the pitch, but again, it's going to take every player in that part to like pull the weight.
That's the only thing, Graham, genuinely, that worries me. I personally think Callum McGregor's a good midfielder, a very good midfielder in Scotland. Nothing more than that. But Rogic for me is the one who he carries the ball so well. He can ghost past players, and he's not fast. He's just got that ability to ghost past players, and he can score a goal as well.
The one thing you noticed at Ibrox is the positions he was taking up. He was getting in between our midfield and defence, and that's what was dangerous. Because once they've got that player that can find him, basically, that's what was dangerous in the first Ibrox game. Sorry, but he is a good player. But it's like we've been saying, if we play our game, I believe we can tactically and in the fight beat them. So. Try to be positive. The positivity.
Yes. Let's be positive. Yes, let's not do a Lee.
I would say that we've got that in Ramsey. Like he is a player who will make the early runs in the box. So and Ramsey showed that in the first couple of minutes that that's why he's perfect at. It just needs to keep that up for a bit longer in the game. Like we need to play past the first 15 minutes this time, because that first 15 minutes I thought out with their goal, they were brilliant.
What we can't do, Lee, is start really well, get a goal, and then keep playing well, but concede a goal on the break, which anybody can do. And then as soon as you concede that goal, you can see it in the players going, game's done. Mm-hmm. We need to be mentally strong in this game, I think. Yeah,
because you could see that as well when Braga scored on Thursday. Like we've dominated them for 84 minutes, but then like the heads drop a wee bit. You're like, oh, like we have not been able to kill this game off. That's all it is. Just focus on the game. Like know that you know how good you have, your own abilities, and the rest will take care of itself.
Graham, Lee mentions Ramsey there. My stepdad's just came in beside me. What a dick. Lee mentions Ramsey there. Is there a slight worry that he played quite a lot on Thursday, and we know his fitness levels, we know his injury record? Would it maybe have been more smarter to maybe keep him on the bench, or did he have to start?
For me, he had to start, mate. That's when we look at it now for Thursday night. We're lucky now that Jack and Ramsey both came off and got a wee bit of rest. Never played the extra time, so that's a good sign. So he had to start, mate, for me. And I'm hoping, what we were saying earlier about who's going to play through the centre, is it Aribo or Ramsey? I'm hoping it's the exact same. It's like Jack drops into right back, Tav goes forward, and then Ramsey goes close to Roof and making the runs off the Roof, and then Aribo's close to him as well. I'm hoping I see that early on, because like I said earlier, if I see that and then Barisic linking up with Kent the way he did, then that's our European form, and then I'm definitely confident we can go and get the result.
Is Ramsey, Lee, for you, getting better every game? Are you happy with how Ramsey's played? Are you a bit disappointed? What's the feeling? And if he is, which I would suspect is probably your answer, getting better every game, are we expecting him to be the difference?
I think he has, mate. I think he's played quite well when we have played him. It's hard to gauge it because of like the fanfare surrounding him when he did come in. Like, I think our fan base are always going to judge it on he's a superstar that came from Juventus, so he will get a bit more criticism, but I think he's been great, mate. I think those late runs in the box are what Arfield, I feel, provided us last season, and he's just doing it on like a kind of better quality. I think he will be crucial for the day because we're going to need those late runs in the box. I think that's where we can hurt them. Like down the wings, cross it in late into the box. I think that will be his bread and butter.
And Ricky makes a point. Graham, Ramsey has had to start and he has to get close to Roof. Look, you give Roof the service, Roof will score the goals. What we can't do, and I think everybody knows, and I'm hoping Gio's learned this, we cannot play Roof like we play Morelos. That is not going to work. We will just continually lose the ball. But Ramsey makes those late runs into the box. We've got Tav, Bonner on each side. We'll come to Ryan Kent in a minute. If you give Roof the service, he'll score.
Definitely. When you look at his record, especially the starts, I think it's somewhat 16 starts, 15 or 16 goals this year. But he's proved it. He's proved it down in the Championship with Leeds as well. And when he was at, I believe it was Anderlecht, was that in Belgium? He scored goals, although he had injury issues when he was over there.
Yeah.
But he's a different type of finisher as well. He scores all types of goals. And for someone who was saying don't put balls into the box, some of his goals are a lot of headers, to be honest.
Yeah.
And so he is good, but his movement.
It's the right service, so Graham, he needs. See these long balls up to him, he can't hold a ball up.
So whip crosses like in behind, just in between the goalkeeper and the centre half. That's what he likes to attack. But I think it was McCoy in midweek, and a few times when he's been on in the commentary box and whatever, he's always talks about his movement. And also, we don't see that watching the telly all the time, but he is constantly moving, and that makes better options for Tav and that to put the ball in. So, but like you say, if you get him the service, he'll score the goals.
Thomas Jones, sorry, Martin has your stepdad one of the Mankey mob. Indeed, he is not. No, 100% no. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in my house before an Old Firm game. I'm just having a wee look through to see if I can find some comments. While I'm doing that, Lee, Ryan Kent, Old Firm games in Europe seem to be his speciality. Fully confident, fully at it, Ryan Kent shows up. They can't handle him, can they?
No, mate. If he shows up, I think he'll be our main player. Like the first couple of minutes, the last one. I mean, he's the one that provides the cross for Ramsey. I think when Ryan Kent's on his game, there is nobody better in Scotland. There's no one better. So I do think if Ryan Kent shows up, obviously you'll need the players around him, but that like kind of partnership in the left of Barisic and Kent, I think will be massive because Barisic is more inclined to run in behind, which I think gives Kent more space because it drags away the defender at the back, and I think that will be helpful for Kent today.
There's one name on the bench, Graham, because we'll finish up shortly so everybody can get away and get ready for the game. There's one name on the bench, Graham, that stands out for me. I think you know who I'm going to say. Third from bottom, young man Alex Lowry. Any possibility that we see that young man today? Should we see that young man today?
I'd like to think so. He deserves it. He's ready for these games, and well, a lot of young players you're feeling nervous, but with him, I don't get any nerves about throwing him into a big game at all.
No,
he's got that. Let's say arrogance, but
he's got bravado, confidence. He believes in himself, and I honestly think he's one of the best players that we could bring on. If I'm being brutally honest,
a big pitch, he can find the pass, he can dribble, he's got everything. I've been through William. I've first heard about him, then I was so excited for him coming in. Then he's proved it with his debut and the games against Livingston and the one in the cup game earlier. They set up. Was it Sakara? I think it was. He's so assured. He knows he just knows he's ready, and next season will be his breakout year. I think and I'm looking forward to it.
Lee, Cameron Kellis says too big a game for him, not fair to throw him in yet. I genuinely don't agree with that.
No, mate. If they're good enough, they're good enough. You can argue in the whole case that Arfield's a more experienced player in that situation, but sometimes experience it's not like it's not the way to go. But sometimes you just need a young guy in there who's going to like not be afraid to try stuff, because I feel you can get into like a kind of routine of like you bring on like the same players at our field and they just kind of do like the same role. But if you bring in Lowry, like he's going to relish the experience. You could say that it could be like too much for him, but I don't think so. I think even just like looking at his cameo against Dundee, his decision making is already spot on.
Yeah,
Like the way that he just glides past players. I wouldn't hesitate to put him in the day if we needed to.
right. Michael Charon. I'm not long in. Haven't seen the team or bench as Davis there. So I'll quickly read out the team. The team is McLaughlin, Tav, Goldson, Bassey, Barisic, Lundstrom, Jack, Aribo, Ramsey, Kent, and Roof. And on the bench, McGregor, Balogun, King, Davis, Kamara, Sands, Wright, Arfield, Lowry, Ahmad, and Fashion. Graham, the bench for you, if it's not going our way, or if the game's level, or if we're 1 ahead or 2 ahead or whatever, does that bench fill you with confidence?
Sakala, because it's a big pitch and hopefully there'll be space behind, that suits his game of speed, so that gives me confidence. If he does have to come on, it's going to be a game that suits him. Lowry, we've just spoke about, I'm 100% confident if he had to come on at any point, he'd relish it and he'd get straight up into the game. Ahmad, I'm unsure about. I know through also my Man United fan as well. I know through him what I've seen, he has got the talent. It's just he's a wee bit lightweight and whether he's up for the Scottish football. So I'd be unsure about him. Arfield's just steady. If he came on, he's going to give his all. So we've got options. I'd have liked to have just maybe a wee hot take a wee bit. And maybe on the bench, just if we need to throw in an actual striker to get the ball into the box, I'd maybe say that. I'd have liked to have seen him on the bench.
We don't have time for an hitting debate. We just don't have time for it. Well, Melanie, hi mum. Rangers can absolutely win if they want it bad enough. Hopefully they have that mindset today. She's sitting in my living room. What's she doing commenting? There you go. Lee, the bench for you happy with it? Are you confident?
I think it's the best we can do, innit? It's the best squad that we've got out there. You could argue for it in terms of like you've got the height, kind of like the hold up play, but I mean he's not really showing it, has he? Not showing that he can do it for a big lad. So I'd say I'm happy with the bench, mate. I mean it's what best that we've got on it.
Michael's making the point again about Stephen Davis being the man to come on instead of the team. Well, again, we're going to finish up really, really quickly because it's getting towards game time. But Lee, Stephen Davis, important for this game, possibly?
I think he does the job both ways, mate. Seen a comment after the St Mirren game that he's probably the best player we've got at the club at kind of like retaining possession near like the opposition box and keeping the attacks steady. So I think if you're in a position where you're chasing a goal, he'll be vital in that sense of keeping like consistent pressure on like rotating the ball out to the wing backs. And then the other side of it, if you're holding on to your lead, Stephen Davis is calmness personified. He's been through it all, he's done it all. Might not have the legs that he used to, but sometimes that's not all you need. Like the football and brain of Davis is fantastic, and I think that could help us regardless.
You're nodding away there, Graham, like a very happy dog.
I totally agree, especially if we're just winning by one goal, getting into the last 20 minutes, half an hour. See, bringing him on, he just calms everything down. He can slow it down, and then his passing accuracy is top notch, and he'll just give a kind of calmness towards everybody, especially in the midfield. Keep their head and stuff like that. So I agree with you. If we're winning with one goal last 20 minutes, I'd be definitely bring him on.
Aye, well, Paul McGregor, Martin, she wanted the kettle on. I'm busy. Too busy going to put a fucking kettle on. Right, okay. Everybody in the comments, predictions. You know how I like it. Scoreline and first goal scorer. I'll give you guys 2 seconds to think about that. If you are watching on YouTube, please do like and subscribe. The last time I checked, we're 30 odd away from 5k subscribers. Give the podcast a like as well and really help share it. Same on Facebook, same on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter at Rangers Rabble. And all that good stuff. Right, before I come to the comments, Graham, prediction.
I put it in the comments for last night's pod. I'm just going to stick with it. 2-1 Rangers, Aribo.
2-1 Rangers, Aribo. Lee?
3-1 Rangers, Roof.
3-1 Rangers, Roof. There we go. Right, Callum C's giving it 3-0, but he's not gave me a first goal scorer. Big Shug is giving me 1-0 Kent. Paul McGarrigle's giving me 2-1 Roof. All my family have came over and they are now standing watching me do this. So I can now announce live that the Rangers Rabble will never do a live show because I can't handle that. John Hawkins, Rangers 2-0. They never gave me a goal scorer. Cameron Kellis, 3-1 Ramsey. What we got? Oh, that's my favourite. Bucket of Water, 5-1 Ramsey. John Lammy's going 2-1 Roof. Sniffy 79. What a name. 3-1 Rangers Ramsey. And my favourite probably, predictions don't give a damn, just effing win. I predict Lee Griffiths to be lifted. There you go. That's my favourite. Channel member Ian Ross, 3-1 Rangers. Lundstrom, and that will do us. Yeah, we will be back straight after the end of the game. Myself, Graham, Lee, and somebody else, I can't remember who it was now. But listen, thank you to everybody for watching. Enjoy the game. Rangers will win. Don't listen to Graham, Lee and Kerr being all pessimistic. We will win. We'll finish 4-0 to Rangers. Connor Goldson will get the first goal and then we'll all come back here and celebrate. So thank you for watching. Go and enjoy the game.